I just think this one's super interesting. Basically, Ubisoft, I guess there were internal developments. They were like beginning the process of developing. I don't know if you guys remember that game, Immortals Fenyx Rising. It was that, what is it, Breath of the Wild clone that a lot of people were calling it. But
Yeah.
apparently,
Yeah.
the game, like critical wise, I think from what I understand, did fairly well. But in terms of commercial success, it did not like sell super well. So unfortunately, it looks like I think I remember by I remember, but basically, I think they said that they wanted to shift their attention or their development time away from that game because of its non-commercial success, and they wanted to move that over to their more mainline franchises like Assassin's
Dance.
Creed, of course. So a lot of people have been talking about this simply because it's like so disappointing for like I mean, yeah, the commercial success I guess plays a part, but it's like you have like this new interesting franchise, but this big company, but they decide to shift away from that and put all of their time and effort into Assassin's Creed, this timeless, you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, but we all know what we're getting from Call of Duty, but it's a dependable source of income for them, so it's like,
You know what it might be, and I have not checked any sales numbers here, so I could be a little off base because the story of this kind of sounds familiar, like that Mario and Rabbids game. Like the first one, critics loved. I don't think it sold really well. I could be wrong. I know they sold a lot of copies over time when they dropped the price down to like nothing, and then they just released their sequel recently. I don't think that sequel has done well. So what I'm getting at here is Ubisoft kind of went in, invested in a game that already was probably not a huge financial success for them, but it probably, gave it the benefit of the doubt. It was a Nintendo property, so I'm sure that helped. But they just showed that they invested in the second property. It may not have paid off for them. I said I'm kind of assuming here because I haven't looked at any hard sales numbers, but from just the general reception I've seen about that game, and I've already seen it on sale everywhere, makes me think it's not selling like hotcakes.
mm-hmm.
This seems like a similar situation, right? Where the first game came out, people really liked it, didn't sell well, and now they don't really want to take the risk on investing in another, sequel.
Well, I did want to throw
because it
in.
didn't pan out for them before.
I just want to throw in that apparently Phoenix Rising did sell well, just not immediately. Apparently, when the game began to be put on sale and it got dropped to $30-$20, apparently the game, they said, I don't remember, I don't have the numbers in front of me where I just heard that basically, but apparently, like, in terms of when the game was put on sale, it made decent money. It just didn't make that like.
Well, do we know it made different money? It sold a lot of units. Did it make back enough money?
Probably not.
Like it started selling a lot once it got cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cutting the profits in half sucks. Like that's not what they want. They want to sell that thing for $60, not 20.
Yeah, like if they sold 3 million copies at $60, great.
Then-
If they sold 3 million copies at $10 to $15, which I saw that game I think under $10 retail several times. It's not nearly as great, and of course it's going to sell better at that. I mean, people are far more willing to buy a $10 game than a $60 game, especially for an unknown IP. So I get why they did it. I'm not saying it doesn't suck. I mean, I didn't play the game. I've been meaning to for a long time, but I know a lot of people have enjoyed it. And it looks like a game that has, some cool stuff to it. So it's a shame to know that a potential sequel is not going to happen, but I get it. Unfortunately, it's probably not the smartest business move. And at the end of the day, these are all businesses more than anything else. None of them are doing this for goodwill.
And I know a lot of people have been criticizing Ubisoft mainly because I remember I heard somewhere on a different podcast, but it came out that Ubisoft said that they have something like 2,800 in-studio developers working on Assassin's Creed games, and it's like 2,800 working on just Assassin's Creed. It's like.
That's probably one of their biggest money makers, like that and Far Cry. Like those are the big ones. I don't know. Ubisoft's in an interesting spot. This is a bigger conversation, but they've had a lot of controversy over the years. I think they've had some big bombs kind of come out with some of their games. They had the whole Quartz NFT thing, so they've not exactly been riding high for the past few years. So they're probably trying to slim down.
I'm still waiting on Beyond Good and Evil 2. I'm never gonna get that.
And you're gonna be.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life.
Skull and Bones.
So, I don't know.
I don't know if you heard, but they pushed that back they said they pushed it back until the fiscal year of next year, they said fiscal year this year, but technically that bleeds into 2024. So it's like,
Yeah. And then they're also putting out the Black Flag remaster, which is basically the whole inspiration for Skull and Bones. Like, Ubisoft's doing some weird things over there. Like, they can make some really good games. Like, I know people are very tired of their formulaic structure of their games, but they make some quality stuff. So, I mean, it's kind of a shame to see them kind of wavering here with certain stuff, but I don't know. As I said, Ubisoft and their situation is a bigger topic for another day. I am sad, though, that this game isn't going to get a sequel.
and I just really want to bring up one more thing. I remember the main reason why I brought up the 2,800 people working on Assassin's Creed is because it like I think immediately after that came out that people found out how much people are working on that. Basically, FromSoft essentially came out and said that they have 500 people working on the next Armored Core game, and it's like 500.
Jeez.
I mean, I get it, even though Assassin's Creed
These studios are big.
but 500 versus almost 3,000, it's like this is a AAA studio putting out like Game of the Year titles. You know what I mean? And they only have 500. It's like I don't know if it's mismanagement on
say.
No, granted, I don't want that doesn't mean I want people to get fired at Ubisoft. Not at all. I mean, obviously I don't, but I don't know if it's.
Well, when you say they're working on Assassin's Creed,
It might
is
be
that all
across.
20
It might be across all of the 5 games.
Like
in
Assassin's Creed is
development.
more than one game.
Yeah.
Like Mirage is coming out. They have some other game coming out. They have their Assassin's Creed hub thing. They have a bunch of spin-off. Like Assassin's Creed is like a whole. Well, I don't even have the right word.
Those
for
games
it,
get
but
copy and pasted.
Ecosystem.
the whole game is just a big Control C.
It's
Control
just
V.
control. It's just
Yeah.
copy paste those titles.
I'm not saying there's not bloat there, but there's a lot more
It-
I think going on with Assassin's Creed than say Armor Core. But I'm sure there's fluff too.
Again, I don't want any of those people to lose their jobs. That's not what I mean. I just mean, I don't know. It's interesting. It's all
I think it'd be interesting to see a breakdown like out of those 2,800, how many are developers, how many are marketers or advertisers? Like, what are all the different positions that are there, and what are all the projects they're actually working on? Like, is it like more majority is on a single game, whatever the next gen, whatever Assassin's Creed is, or are they spread across on all these other side projects? As I said, not saying there's no bloat, but I think you need to look at the numbers a little more
I know
closely.
we're done with this topic, but I also read that apparently Ubisoft is incredibly disappointed with how Just Dance, the recently released title, was selling, and it's like
I wonder why.
Well, maybe they'll finally stop.
I wonder why Just Dance. What is that like? The 20th game on that's been on
But
every
that
console.
had been selling really good for a very long time.
It had to have.
So
I mean, my wife likes that game. She'll always play it. So I don't know.
all right, that's enough
Yeah,
Ubisoft
I know.
chit chat.
I just thought it was. I was having a goof, having a gaff.